So, Audra Greenblade is a character in The Wolf at the Door, Book 1 in the White Worm Chronicles, who went through a lot of changes since I first envisioned the world and its characters. She is rather different from all other humans in the story, and she is a character seeking purpose, you might say, and understanding. Um, she is a young woman with ashen hair and skin as white as the snow, and her eyes are white as well, a sort of bleached white, blank, but she can still see through them. By far, Audra is the most magical character in the book, and possibly in the series as a whole, as a result of these little quirks in her appearance. And she's obviously one of the more strange characters, and in some ways the most interesting. Obviously, I was enamored with the idea of Audra being this. She's sort of my answer to the white-haired warrior trope, which is a very common thing in fiction media these days. I'm not gonna deny I wasn't really being super original there, but I wasn't really trying to be. That's not quite the point. Because this is my take on an old trope, this sort of human alien, this wandering mutant figure. You know, your my version of Elric slash The Witcher slash let's face it, all of the Targaryens. It's a common thing. It's kind of an anime thing as well, and I'm okay with that because I like Audra. She's a good character, I think, and she's different enough that I don't think it matters that she shares sort similarities in appearance to these other characters, because Audra is considered a freak, a monster, some sort of witch or devil, and she's a member of the Grave Company, a band of sellswords, mercenaries, contracted by Tacitus Oldrig on behalf of Devon, the Prince of Wildren. Um, and they are a strange lot. I've always sort of imagined the Grave Company as this very bizarre, um, very welcoming organization, right? This free company who sort of treat themselves as they hold themselves to a very high standard. They are so-called moral sellswords, right? They fight for causes that they genuinely believe in. And they are led by this man, Lord Gairman Stand, who was poor. He was a poor bastard born out of wedlock who made his living as a warrior and who made himself a lord by virtue of being a good fighter. He earned wealth and reputation by being an excellent mercenary, and now he's taken in this band of of so-called freaks and monsters, right? These outcasts and vagabonds and witches, and he's made something of a little family out of a ragtag band of uh, free lances and swords. And it in some ways more closely resembles something like a carnival than an actual war band. And that's part of the fun, I think. Um, and Lord Garamond, he looks out for them, and he tries to do right by not only them but by the people he works for. I mean, still, he does not work for free, and neither do the people in his company. So there's a bit of a dichotomy there, if you will. They are, of course, very capable fighters, the Gravelings, as they're called. And Audra is no different. Gehrman, the Lord Captain, he found her in the wilderness when she was young. This rabid, wild, pale child, and he raised her, taught her to fight and how to think. Uh, and and Audra, she's obviously very capable, and she cuts an impressive figure, right? Audra being this tall, I imagine over 6 feet tall, and she is skinny, thin, scarecrow thin, and yet she is very strong in those stick thin arms. There is an uncommon strength about her. She is somehow stronger than most knights and noble soldiers. She is very fast, remarkably fast, and she is cunning as well. She does have a temper. Audra is uncompromising in her values, and she believes in kindness, sure, and in goodwill, and because of that, she doesn't get along well with those who plot and scheme and lie for a living. She, so she doesn't get along with many politicians or nobles. When she gets frustrated, she has a habit of answering her problems with violence, and that leads to all sorts of issues later down the line. She's a very fun character in that regard because she's so earnest and well meaning while still being a mercenary fighter and easily riled up. Um, and Audra is not at the start of The Wolf at the Door. She's not the most capable fighter in all the world, but I do imagine that by the end of the series, somewhere down the line, she might very well become just that. Her journey as a character is sort of of about belonging and accepting the family you have, and about learning to be comfortable in your own skin, sort of, and also a little bit to temper one's boldness and courage with wisdom, and that leads to her becoming a very dangerous fighter and very useful to our heroes, the cause of those who fight for peace instead of an endless war. Um, Audra, she fights tooth and claw in The Wolf at the Door, and when the chips are down, she defends her adopted family, who she doesn't always get along with, and also she defends those who she has sworn to protect like a wild animal. She fights to the very end, and Audra is this dangerous and strangely kind hearted warrior who is looked down upon for being weird and different, and looked down upon by a rare few just for being a woman in what is in this world a predominantly male profession, that of a hired killer. And it's not necessarily a glamorous profession either, but she, being, I think, deep down something of a good person, still tries to make it work and still tries to do good. She doesn't let the people who are looking down upon her stop her, or she doesn't really get hung up on it necessarily. She does, however, answer every insult with a punch in the face generally. And by the end of things, the elfin Audra Greenblade will kind of learn who she is and what she is. She will uncover the mystery of her pale skin and pale eyes and pale hair. She will uncover what kind of alien creature she might actually be. And by the end of things, she will kind of come into her own. She will accept what she is, and more importantly, she will accept who she is. Her story will end in a pool of black water, with her facing off against a monster tied to the very soul of the world. But for now, why not consider reading Book 1 in the White Worm Chronicles, The Wolf at the Door, now available on Amazon. And Book 2, just so you know, is already finished. And book 3 as well. They'll be published probably by the end of the year. So keep your eyes and ears out for that as well. Like and subscribe while you're at it. It really helps out the channel. I'll have a lot more for you soon. So yeah, bye.